Okay, we're back with Erica. If you miss episode 1, go back last week to listen to episode 1. Actually, to see also, because we're always on the YouTube channel, the Hair Game Podcast YouTube channel. But we're going to get back in with Erica right now. So, as I said in the beginning of the episode, you have a lot of really entertaining videos and educational videos, even if like the tidbit or the tip that you're giving is just like a little tip. It's fun and it's entertaining and stuff like that. For example, one of the posts that I saw earlier today was the importance of the water that you use in your shampoo bowl. Mm-hmm. And that is absolutely true. I've heard that from many people, but it's very rarely discussed, at least in what I see over the years. So discuss that for a minute. What is the importance? What can water do? What can it mean to your service?
So this is something I actually talk about all the time with my clients because as a blonde specialist, the hair can get extremely brassy from having mineral buildup, which is super common in my area. So a lot of women that they leave platinum, they come back orange, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this can't work. So I've done a lot of research on understanding all the different minerals, what they cause, how to prevent it, and I practice what I preach. So I would say water, like with minerals, can discolor your hair. They make it dry, they make it brittle, it can be prone to breakage. And I would say it puts like a coating, it can weigh it down, it can just make it really dull. It does all the things that you do not want your hair to be. So I would say it's highly impactful. So the simplest thing is to have at least a filter on your shower. And in the salon, we also have those shower heads, the eco heads, which are great. And they really greatly minimize like all the things. And so the water pressure is really great. And I would say if you want to go really over the top, which is what I do, I use distilled water to wash my hair. So I'm a crazy person.
No, you don't.
I sure do. I have videos.
Oh my God.
I'll have to send you one. Like I literally have multiple videos where I'm like actually showing myself. I just dump the jug right on my hair, like in the shower. That's literally what I do to wash my hair is I grab distilled water from the grocery store and I wash my hair with it from start to finish. And I do that every single time that I wash my hair. I'm a psycho.
So distilled water comes in 1 gallon jugs, right? Mm-hmm. We have to buy it for a number of things around the house, mm-hmm. and it comes in these 1 gallon jugs. It has the handle on it, right? Mm-hmm. And how much of the 1 gallon do you require to shampoo your hair?
Well, for the whole process, it's almost 3 gallons. So. Yeah, my hair's but it's like my hair's long, and so
it is long.
Yeah, so it's like you can't tell right now, but and that's like if I usually have to wash twice and then I condition. But if I use K18, then I'll just have to shampoo twice and then rinse. So I might only use 2 gallons, but yeah, it's a little bit.
And how often are you shampooing your hair per week?
Probably twice. Like every 4 days. I used to be once, but I'm like, I just need more than that. Just like not really into going as long as possible anymore. I feel like it's just gross.
Right. So give us a visual, not too much of a visual, but give us the visual. You're walking into the shower with 3 gallons of distilled water?
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's hilarious. I've got probably 2 gallons around the house at any time, mm-hmm. for various needs. And they tend to go very quickly. And then when you're out, you're like, God damn it, there's no distilled water. Mm-hmm. And so you have to remember when you go to the grocery store. So when you go to the grocery store, how many gallons are you buying at a time?
I buy at least 4, but sometimes I'll buy 6. So that way I always have my week's worth of water. So
yeah, because you're going through 6 a week.
It looks weird. It's like, what are you using
for that? You're like a survivalist.
Yeah, it's so weird.
People are looking at you like you're a survivalist.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's funny.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm newly blonde here. My son and I went and we got bleached out at the salon, and so I'm experiencing for the first time in my life what it is to be a blonde. Ooh. And I see how sensitive it is to the environment. Mm-hmm. We went yesterday I went to the beach and went swimming, and the ocean water's no bueno.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It turns it's kind of a greenish hue right now. This video is going to be on YouTube, listeners, if you want to go to YouTube and check it out. But I'm a little greenish here, and I need to probably use some of my wife's. We've got 100 products in my shower because at Salon Republic we have a beauty supply in every location, so we carry about 80 or 90 brands. And so it's around, so much is around all the time, whether it's the bond builders, because my wife is a blonde, or, the toners or the thises and the that's. And, I've got these color depositing shampoos and conditioners, so I've been blue quite a bit the last couple of years. But I kind of enjoy how much it changes. It changes on a daily basis, depending on what I do, what product I use, whether I'm in the sun or I'm at the pool. I go in the pool for 5 seconds and then it changes it. It's kind of fun.
It's over the top. And being blonde it's not only getting the actual service that makes it a little bit higher maintenance. Your hair is so, like you said, it's so sensitive to all of the elements. And like you said, the sun can yellow the hair. When you're blonde, it's like it's light. So obviously everything is so noticeable. The hair is super porous. So it absorbs everything, as opposed to when you're darker and like virgin and that cuticle's a little bit more like shut down. But when you're blonde, it's like open, it's like inviting everything in, and it's ridiculous. So yeah.
My son, who has dark brown hair, he's a blonde too now, and he looks badass. I mean, he's straight badass because the texture changes.
Yeah.
So his hair naturally just kind of goes forward and kind of creates this kind of nerdy looking hair in his face kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of the style for some of the young kids, the high school kids, that kind of moppy sort of mess that's all like in their face. But my son's hair, unless there's some texture that's cut into it or there's a massive amount of product in it, it doesn't really look cool. But since he got bleached out, it's got a ton of texture and it's all kind of spiky and messy, and he looks awesome. And now he's got the growth happening underneath, and for a guy, the growth kind of looks cool, I think. So yeah, it's been a fun experiment. So you mentioned as far as the water goes, a shower head at home. What do you recommend to your clients? Like, do you sell it, or do you go to Amazon and get one? Or
I have several options. We do have some of the like a little bit less expensive ones in the salon, but I've kind of partnered with a couple of companies, so I have links on my Instagram for like what I think of as like the best shower filters that are in existence that can be just attached to your shower head. But if my clients have those and they're still experiencing discoloration, which happens a lot in my area with the minerals, the iron specifically being such a problem and really hard to filter, if they still have it, I actually tell them to do what I do. And now I have this like distilled water blonde cult clientele that they literally now buy distilled water. Amazing. Like me. And people thought I was crazy that they're like, your clients are never going to do that. And I was like, well, there's no harm in asking and recommending it, right? And that's why I've done videos, because I'm like, I practice what I preach and it works. And people are like, oh my gosh, my hair stays bright now, so this is great. So it does work.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so your Erica 6, the number 6 style on the gram. So if the listeners, if you didn't want to go to the show notes to see that, you now know, and you can go there to look at some of the recommended items. I think you said you have an Amazon store.
I do.
But of course, hopefully not an Amazon store for beauty products.
No.
You do have a post about the frustration of clients asking you if the products that you recommend they use, shampoos, conditioners, etc., are available on Amazon. And what do you say?
I usually just say, no, we actually have them right here. So I don't know why. Like, I'm nice, but I am very direct with people. I will be honest with people. And so I'm like, no, like, I don't recommend buying it off of Amazon. We do have them right here. So I think
we have them. Yeah, we have them for the same price, right?
Yeah.
And all of this super cheap Amazon the items and not behavior, the super cheap Amazon of yesteryear that all of us kind of got to know 10 years ago, that doesn't exist anymore. You know, a lot of the Amazon products are no longer really cheap.
Right.
And that has something to do with the fact that they've gone a little bit legit, at least with the beauty products, where I don't think that it's possible anymore, at least with some products, for kind of some guy who went out and stole a bunch of product to go on there and sell it, you know, illicitly for a lot cheaper. So there's price integrity now on Amazon for the most part, not with everything, but for the most part. So so there's price matching, there's price consistency much more now, and I think it's important to say that because some people still believe that they can go onto Amazon and get things for cheaper. In the last year or two, I've found many of the prices on Amazon to be more expensive than retail.
Yeah.
For various items. I just anecdotally, you know, that I notice. And then I see that, I'm like, oh, that's kind of screwed up. And then I go online to like broader, you know, outside of Amazon, and I see it for cheaper prices on the Walmart app.
Yeah.
And so Walmart is trying to compete the same way that Amazon did 5 years ago with offering, you know, lower prices. And in some cases, I can get, let's say, a brush or, you know, something like this, or like a bag of Band-Aids or whatever on Amazon, or I'm sorry, on Walmart for like half the cost that they're selling for on Amazon. So Amazon has definitely raised its prices. I think it's important for us in our industry to let our clients know, buy it here retail because it's the same price as Amazon.
Absolutely.
You also have on your gram, which is something that I absolutely love, which is the person on the street videos. You did, you went out onto the street in Central Park in New York City.
I did.
To do person on the street interviews. The hardcore listeners of the Hair Game podcast, those who have listened for 7 years or whatever that we've been doing this, will remember that I, too, your fearless host, pre-COVID, used to go out onto the streets of Los Angeles and ask random people questions. And it was so much fun. It took a tremendous amount of time. Donovan would go out there with me, and it would take the entire day.
Oh, yeah.
And then Donovan would probably spend an additional day editing the videos. But we got some... we got a lot of people who looked at us like we were crazy and ran from us because they were scared. And we got some people to stay and talk to us. So tell us about your experience doing that.
Oh my gosh. Well, you are spot on with all of that. I think that it's really fun, but yeah, it was a long day. And this was actually before the Hairbrain Award show. And so this was something that I did with Allison. And I just had this idea. I was like, hey, like, let's just go out and like start asking people questions. And so it was so much fun. I think the editing was the longest process ever, but it was really fun. Like you said, people will like completely ignore you. They're like, you're psycho. Like they act like I'm using drugs in front of them or something. It's like, okay, relax guys. It's literally just an innocent little question. You don't have to answer if you don't want, but some people got really into it. They were like, you know, just kept like wanting to talk, and it was like, okay, thanks. Like we got what we needed. And so we're just going to move on. And funny. I have one more video that's going to be the say balayage video. So it's not the worst salon experience. It's actually like a different question that we are asking people to say the word balayage, because as you probably know, a lot of people do not say it right. And the video just kind of shows that. And so it was fun, and we had a really good time doing it. And it was, yeah, why not do it in Central Park, one of the craziest little places ever. So
yeah, and the weather looked good.
It was beautiful.
That was lucky.
It was so beautiful. Yeah, this was actually back in March before that award show. So we got super lucky for like the middle of March to have like gorgeous weather like that.
It can be cold there in March. I've spent a March in New York City that was absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
So I chuckled to myself when I saw one of your guests. Actually, it was two guys. And they were clearly international. I couldn't tell what language they were speaking. I suspect they were trying to speak English with the accent, with their accent, and I couldn't figure it out. Where were these guys from?
I think they were from France. They actually
Okay.
said balayage perfectly. So I was like,
Ah,
well, it's a French word.
voyage.
So they're actually in the next video that I will be posting. And so it was very hard to understand them. When I said, say balayage, they could say that. But beyond that, I really could not communicate with them. And that's why the
Yeah,
video is literally just like, yeah, okay. Yep.
yeah.
It was a laugh and
I
smile.
So when I did it, I was in Hollywood for a couple of them. I was in Santa Monica for a couple of them, and maybe a couple other places in LA. Also, kind of very busy places,
Yeah.
like Central Park is in New York City, and I got a lot of international people who stopped to talk to me, and some of whom we couldn't understand. So they didn't make the video, they didn't make the podcast. We turned these into podcasts. So
Oh.
for our new listeners, if you didn't know this, go back. You could see it on the YouTube channel, the Hair Game Podcast. You could see it on the podcast. You probably have to type in. Let's see. We titled it something. We titled it. Oh my God, I forgot what we titled it. But maybe YouTube's the best place to find it. And we got a lot of people who are international, so I was able to ask them questions like, what is your salon experience like in whatever Germany or France or England or something like that. So it was very
That's
interesting.
that's so fun. I did not know you did
Yeah,
that. I'm gonna have to go back and like do a little digging on your interviews. That's fun.
we may need to do a recast or whatever you call it. We tend to not do on the podcast. We tend to do new episodes every single Monday. We don't do a whole lot of regurgitation, reuse of our things, but those are pretty interesting. So we might have to do that.
Yeah.
So how much time are you spending behind the chair nowadays?
So I technically have my schedule open now for only 3 days. However, I do find myself working a lot that extra fourth day because I recently went down to 3 days a couple months ago. So I think that, I end up like, oh, let me get you in because I'm booked out a few months. Like, and so it's occasionally I'm just doing a nice thing and I'm like, all right, come in on Tuesday. But I technically work Wednesday through Friday now. And that way, because I'm doing so many content collabs with brands and my own content, that I just need more time. And it's like, it's a lot. It's amazing how fast the day goes by and how long the content creation can take when you're doing so much of it. Like the filming, the editing, the captioning. It does consume a lot of time the way that I'm doing it, or with how many
Yeah,
different videos and brands that I work with. So,
sure.
yeah.
So I like to ask our guests who are working behind the chair, I like to ask them what they're seeing behind the chair with their clients, client behavior, are are they do you have more no shows? Are you finding more people online coming in? Do you find more people asking for certain trends? Do you find people complaining about the prices? Give us any experiences that you're having.
Yeah, so I think for me, like I am expensive, and so I do have quite a process to even book an appointment with me because I've learned that not everybody is a fit for me. So I like to try to weed people out through a long process to kind of book with me because it just kind of I think naturally helps weed people out. So I have like an in-person or I have a consultation form, and then I do an in-person consult, and then I basically decide yes or no. But some people obviously like they know ahead of time what my prices are, so I don't have to have this awkward face-to-face like them finding out that their blonding service is going to cost $600 to $1,200 or something like that, because that can shock a lot of people. Some people still are back in the days where 300 was like the max that they would ever spend on their hair, and that's just not going to happen with me. So I think that before I was having a lot of price shocks, like when I would just tell people the price before they like learned all of that. So I think that a lot of people are having that. I think people like watch the news too much and they're trying to save money, and people get freaked out by like the economy and they're trying to save money. And so thankfully, I think I have a lot of people that are at that level where blonding is like their priority, their extensions are their priority, and they don't care the price and they are willing to pay if they get the service that they want. So I would say no shows. I do have a policy and a contract, so that has basically been non-existent at this point. Like, I have people that are committed, otherwise they do pay a penalty for that. And
Are they prepaying a deposit, or how do you do that?
so
How do you prevent the no shows?
I basically have people sign a contract that states if I'm not notified within a certain amount of time, like, I will charge them, full price if they cancel day of or within 24 hours, or no shows. It's 100% of the appointment. If they cancel 48 hours or less, it's half, and 72 hours or less, it's 25%. So I basically need at least 3 days notice before they get some sort of penalty, and most people do not want to pay that, like, for not getting their hair done, and so they kind of just go with that, I would say.
So do you collect a credit card in advance
I
in order to
do.
do that?
Yes, their credit card is on file, and so that way it's just everything, like, they've signed a contract, their card's on file, so that way if for some reason it does happen. Now, I'm a human being with high empathy, so if something really truly bad happens in their life, I might give them grace. I'm very understanding, and I understand that certain things, may happen, but it's usually more with my regular people that I really know, like, and trust that they're not taking advantage of me being a nice person. So a lot of times new clients, I might not have as much empathy because I know people will lie and, like, have excuses for things. And so, yeah, that's just kind of how I approach it. And so now I don't have to complain about someone not showing up or someone canceling last minute. It's like, well, no, like, I can still make something because they didn't follow that, and I have a policy. So,
Right.
so it's kind of helped
Right.
me. And I would say in terms of trends, I think a lot of people are, including myself, I'm really into flattering people's skin types. Like, I don't want to just, oh, you have black hair, but you want solid platinum. Like, I used to just do anything that people wanted without really taking into account, what is your skin tone? What is your eye color? What is your lifestyle? Like, let's, like, flatter you with what you are naturally, and, like, highlight that. Not just, like, I feel like certain things just don't look good on people. So I'm really into doing, like, lower maintenance things that are going to look really good and very customized to that person. And so I think lower maintenance lived in is definitely becoming more popular, as opposed to, like bleach and tones and stuff like that, where people have to come in every 4 to 6 weeks, because that's a very high maintenance service. And I have one person that still does it, but it's frequent. And so I would say some people like the idea of not coming in for 3 months, 4 months, sometimes even up to 6 months. And so people are kind of liking that. They might not have to spend as much money as frequently. So I think that's attractive to people. Hmm.
Do you have any hair horror stories?
Oh my gosh. I do. And I guess it's just a matter of, is it from, like, a physical hair, like something I did to someone's hair, or more just like something that happened with a client?
Well, typically I leave it up to the guest to decide on which type of hair horror story. I like any kind of hair horror story. And of course, the reason we ask is because it's oftentimes entertaining and often instructional. But we over the years, we have gotten a lot of the screwed up, the lightning process type of things. So if you have something else, then let's start there.
Well, gosh, I'm just trying to figure out which one would be the best to share. And some of them are pretty long stories, but I'm trying to think, because I have different ones. I have some from hair horror, like an actual service. And then I have some that, something that happened that has been, I'm going to share this one that was more the client. I did not ruin her hair, but I
Okay.
think it might be good to share because this is what made me get really into having a contract and policies. So here it
Please.
goes. This was a year ago, and I'm actually currently in a court case with this client. And
Wow. Okay.
in
This is
the,
going to be good.
yeah.
I like how you teased that in the beginning. Okay. I'm all ears.
So this was, in all the 10 years that I've been doing hair professionally, I have never had even one person ever dispute a charge of getting their hair done. And mind you, thank God, this was before I had contracts, but thank God I had taken before and after photos of her hair to show how horrible she came in, like, and then how beautiful her hair left. So I am just so thankful. But a month goes by, and let me back it up a little bit. She was, if I had had a consultation with this person now, I would say no to that person. But I basically gave people the benefit of the doubt when I hear these little red flags, and now I'm super sensitive. If I hear someone like bitching about a hairstylist, like really like downplaying them and like really hating on them, not just like, oh, I just didn't like my hair, but they're really like being nasty towards the previous hairstylist, like I will not book with that person because I just think it's a red flag. However, I overlooked it. We did a 5-hour blonding service on her. Her hair came out beautiful. She said she was happy. She tipped me, and out she went. And it was late, so we just like, I was like, it's been a 12-hour day for me. We can just get you rescheduled a different time or whatever. And she had to go, so I was like, cool. Didn't hear from her for a month. And then I get a dispute notice on Square, and I like literally my heart dropped, my stomach hurt, like I was sick. I look who it is, and it's this woman. And I thought, that's super weird.
How much was it?
It was $720. So,
Okay.
And my prices have gone up since then. So like I feel like it was very fair at the time for a long service. So I reach out to her and I keep it very short and professional. I said, hey, there seems to be a problem with your payment. What's going on? Is there something wrong? Crickets. Okay. A couple months goes by. Here I'm talking with my lawyer friend, and now like I'm trying to dispute it with the credit card company and Square, and it ended up not going in my favor. It usually ends up siding with the person who disputes. I've learned this through Square and the credit cards. I've had lots of conversations about this now. So I was fuming. I was so livid. I was so upset. I was just like sick to my stomach about this whole thing because I was like, here, this woman's hair came out beautiful. Like, how is this even happening? So I reach out again and I say, hey, you've gotten your money back for a service that was completed well. I'm going to expect repayment back to me for my services rendered. Otherwise, I will move forward with legal action. Still nothing. So now I'm proceeding to kind of get things in order and start that process. And 4 months later, after I initially did the service, I all of a sudden get a message from her that's like, she sends a picture of not her face, but like hair, almost like it's hanging on someone's shoulder, and it looks like screaming orange. And I was like, she says, my hair's been falling out. It looked terrible. Like she's almost trying to like back up her claims of disputing it, almost like she knows that I'm going to take her to court, and like she's trying to just have like proof that she has reached out to me, even though it was 4 months later. So I was so confident. I'm like, okay, this lady is literally scamming me. Like she is a full scam artist. Like she has done this before, I can tell. And so I just was very professional and just said, hey, like I won't go into all the details. There was a lot of back and forth messages and stuff like that. She refused to come in for me to analyze her hair. She refused to show me a picture with her face in it of her hair. And basically I was like, well, like, then I guess we'll move forward with legal action. And so I made sure to follow all my lawyer's instructions of like making sure to not say certain things. And so basically started the small claims case, and it's just been, we're kind of waiting. It's been really delayed, obviously, because this was over a year ago that this all happened, and I actually have a new case date like next week. So I'm pretty confident because like literally her hair looks amazing when she left, and so I'm like, I don't know what you did to your hair or if it's even your hair, but I'm like, no, you're not going to get away with it. So
I think this is a great topic of conversation,
yeah.
and one that is not had enough in the industry. I feel like I need to do an episode on this.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get an attorney to help you with a $720 thing? I mean, we have attorneys who are more than that per hour. So how do you even?
This is just a friend of mine who happens to be a lawyer that I was just getting free advice from, because
got it.
This is small claims is lawyer free. So it's basically like he just kind of helped me like just making sure that I'm like, this is the direction that I should be going in, and like just a couple little tips about it. And because I had no idea. I'd never had to take someone to court. Like this was so new.
Right. And
so it was just like, just a little bit of advice from him. That was all that it was, but he didn't like handle anything for me. He was just kind of talking to me about it. So, but yeah.
So you're likely to get called into small claims court, and your client will be also. I've never been to small claims court, so I don't know, but I hear stories. So I guess you're going to go. Is it still in person? I know through COVID, things went online. I don't know how it is now, but what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I mean, I was trying to shorten the story, but we actually went. She didn't show up.
Oh,
And what was crazy is I had everything in line, but the judge was like, you have to find out if the person is active military. And I couldn't. And so I wrote like a declaration
what?
saying, it's so stupid, right? It's so stupid. And I was like, I couldn't find out. And the judge was like, kind of being an asshole. And I just was like, I was shaking. I was so upset. Here I had been waiting all day to be called. He calls me. I have everything in line, all the proof, everything documented. She was served in person. Everything was good. And he was like, well, you need to find out. And I was like, oh my God. He goes,
What
just,
does that have to do with anything? And
I don't
shouldn't
know.
she be the one if she's
Thank
active
you.
military,
Thank
or
you.
if some other kind of protected, class of some kind? Wouldn't that be her responsibility to show that?
You would think so. It makes absolutely no sense. It just adds more stress and like steps that you have to do as a person, as a plaintiff. And so, anyways, I left that case. He was like, well, basically, you've won. I just need that document. So you get it sent to me in the next week or so, and I will push this case back up to the front of the line, and we will like basically just kind of award you whatever. So I was like, great. I literally did it the next day. I was able to do a lot of digging and kind of found out that she wasn't, which I knew she wasn't, but like I had to show proof. And so I waited and waited, and I never got that call, that email that says, "Hey, here's the official decision." So when I called, I was literally shaking because I literally found out that the judge
He, the
awarded.
judge?
Yeah, the judge actually awarded. She filed a motion. She called and apparently tried filing a motion and said she did not know about the case. And they must not have looked at all the proof that I had that she was served, and they just granted a new case. And so
Oh,
you could imagine like how I was shaking. I was so fuming. I was like, this is crazy. I just want to be done with this lady and it's like, I am not hurting for that $720. It's the principle that I'm like standing for. And so I was just like, this is so ridiculous. And so I tried filing my own motion. And so we'll see what happens. But basically, I went in person the first time, but now it can be done on Zoom as well. So that's going to be apparently the second case. I'm going to call to find out to see if he read my letter, because it was like, why is this? When do you get to not show up for your court date, but then you
right.
get to just file a motion? I think that's actually illegal. Like, I don't even think that that's like by law, like legal. And so I am just like insanely floored that like this judge clearly like made a mistake. And I'm just like, I don't even know what's going to happen, but we
I
shall
thought
see.
that I thought that the party who doesn't show up, it loses immediately. That's what I've heard about things like this.
Yes.
But we're wading into legal waters, and no one should listen
Uh-huh.
to what I'm saying because I'm so far from an
No.
attorney. But this is very interesting and so frustrating. This is
Yeah.
one of those justice issues,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it's like right or wrong, and it's so frustrating to hear when justice is not served in a case like this. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I want to hear what the resolution is, if ever there is one. If hopefully you text me or something if
I'll
what
let
the
you know.
resolution is when
It's
you get one.
literally
Yeah.
scheduled for the July 12th, so I will let you know.
Oh my God, I'm so
But
upset. I'm sitting here. I'm
uh-huh.
like, oh my God, how could that happen?
So needless
All
to
right,
say
any
that's
last,
oh sorry. Needless to
please.
say that is what really pushed me to develop a strict policy and have a contract, because I thought I can never go through this again ever. Like I will
Right.
literally want to just quit hair like if I ever go through it again. So here we are. I
You
highly
know,
recommend it to anyone.
two things come to mind. One, even if you win the case, it doesn't mean you're going to collect the money. I'm assuming that you haven't received the money from Square, right?
Oh yeah, it's like up to the other
Right.
credit card company that yeah, so that's a whole ridiculous thing.
So if you get a judgment,
Mhm.
I often hear, if you get a judgment on somebody, that's far from the same as actually getting the money, because then the judgment has to be, I don't know, collected. And some people are really good at not being collectible, on judgments. So that becomes an additional thing you need to worry about, is how to actually collect on the judgment. So having a contract, I think, is amazing. It's a great idea. I think everybody should do it who do services at a value that you're talking about, hundreds of dollars and up. I think it's really good to have contracts. We've had lots of guests mention it. People who have their businesses buttoned up behind the chair all recommend it. That doesn't mean that you're going to be able to collect the money if there's a dispute, unfortunately. But I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. But many times there could be a contract, somebody could dispute it and say, well, that's a BS because the hairstylist breached the contract. But I think it definitely is a warning to the client that you mean business, you have your ducks in a row, and you work in a very professional way. So it should greatly limit the number of people who take advantage of you, I think.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Any last words for the community?
Don't let fear hold you back from achieving your goals. Don't let, if you're trying to achieve certain things, don't let fear of other people's judgments hold you back. Because if I had done that, because that's how I felt, I would not be here. I would not have grown my business the way that I've grown it and had all these opportunities present themselves. And so I'm very grateful that I was able to overcome my very shy personality years ago and being very insecure. And so just put blinders on and do the thing that scares you and just watch what happens.
Love it. Words that are very, very wise. So I and the listeners, thank you very much for coming on here and spending the time. You have so many great things to say, and it was great to meet you.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. I appreciate it. It was great to meet you.